ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ ईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भूतभव्य भवत्प्रभो प्रशान्त साई भूतात्मा धर्मात्मा श्री धन्वन्तरी अंश श्री सत्य साईने मम प्रार्थना। उत्तिष्ठ शोक संकट दुःख निवारण महाकृपा कटाक्ष पाहि मां पाहि मां पाहि। ॐ भूत भव्य भवत्प्रभो प्रशान्त साई भूतात्मा धर्मात्मा श्री धन्वन्तरी अंश श्री सत्य साईने मम प्रार्थना। उत्तिष्ठ शोक संकट दुःख निवारण महाकृपा कटाक्ष पाहि मां पाहि। ॐ भूत भव्य भवत्प्रभो प्रशान्त साई भूतात्मा धर्मात्मा श्री धन्वन्तरी अंश श्री सत्य साईने मम प्रार्थना। उत्तिष्ठ शोक संकट दुःख निवारण महाकृपा कटाक्ष पाहि मां पाहि। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। साईराम।
Sairam, welcome to all the Sai devotees of Sai Sparshan, and welcome to the 54th online satsang session. And today is Shri Plavanama Samvatsara Dakshinayinam Varsha Ritu Shravana Masa Shukla Praksha Shashti Shubhatito Srinivasariktayam Stiravasariktayam, and it is dedicated to the worship of Shri Satyasai Shirdi Sai Tirumala Tirupati Sai Venkateshwara Hanuman Maruti Anjaneya Swami and Shri Navagraha Devatas Shanishwara Sakal Devata Swarupa Bhagavan Shri Satyasai Baba and Shri Sai Baba. And today we are starting this with only just outlining the previous events of the last week and coming events for the next week. On 13th, that is yesterday, was Nagara Panchami, and as most of the devotees who have that practice, it is an orthodox practice of going and putting the or offering the milk and abhishekam to the Nagadevatas in the various Nagadevatas temples and Nagara Panchami. And also yesterday was a holy festival in the Uke Subramanya, Dharmasthala, the Vidrashata, and also Gati Subramanya temples, all Subramanya Swami temples, with the Sarpadevata also. And then today, 14th, today is the first Shravana Shanivara. And in the Shravana Masa, the first Shanivara, Shravana Shanivara, is also called a Padi Shanivara, are people who have got this practice of going and begging in the name of Srinivasa Balaji and asking for the alms, and that's called Padi. And about that's also a Shravana Shanivara's this thing. And today, good pujas in Venkateshwara temples and Hanuman temples. And then on 17th, that is Tuesday, Sri Mangala Gauri. Shravana Masa again month is known for the Mangala Gauri Vratas, particularly people who are recently married, and they do this, particularly ladies, they worship Mangala Gauri on Tuesdays during the Shravana Shanivara, Shravana Mangala Varas, and then she's Mangala Gauri Pujas. And then the upcoming event is 20th Friday, Sri Varamahalakshmi Vratam, and then 21st and 22nd are Rugu and Yajurveda. Rigveda and Yajurveda Upakarmas on 21st and 22nd. Also on 22nd is the Raksha Bandhan, again followed by a number of devotees having the Raksha Bandhans to their brothers, particularly by the sisters, and in order to protect them. And then also the brothers tie the Raksha Bandhan on their sisters, that they will always protect their sisters. And then it's also in Kerala, it is celebrated as Tiruvanam, and Tiruvanam on 21st. It's also a holy festival. Like these are all the upcoming events. Now the topic is a continuation of last week's topic on Sri Satyasai Shri Sai Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and the vision and mission of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and his disciples. And then some similarities of Sri Ramakrishna Mission and Sri Satyasai organizations and uniqueness of Sri Satyasai organization. And these are the certain topics that which we will try to cover, but the subject is so vast again, because there is a compendium of these books on the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and his disciples, which runs to more than 1,000 pages of the one of the available literatures in the compendium that I have. And when actually it cannot be covered in the small, whatever time duration. So something we will touch upon that. And we will also name some of the important disciples of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Let us continue with the story of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, where we had left last week, last Saturday. And I think, as we remember, we had covered up to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's marriage to Srimati Sharda Devi, and she is also called Sharda Mata because she was really not just a wife in the our regular kind of definition of a husband and wife. And Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was even worshipping Sharda Devi as the Mother Kali. And we will continue from that. And out of his grace, everyone has equal right to pray to God. God is everybody's beloved, just as the moon is dear to every child. Everyone has an equal right to pray to God. Out of his grace, he manifests himself to all who call upon him. You will also see him if you but call upon him. That's what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa told Sharda Devi after their marriage, and after Sharda Devi moved to Dakshineshwar to stay in the Dakshineshwar premises in a separate apartment given to her. And he also made Sharda Devi one day sit in the place of Mother Kali and worshipped her with full rights. This shows the high respect Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had given to his wife also, not just as only woman. And that too, particularly today in the country where we are hearing a lot of violence going against women, of all our Hindu traditions in the past, in the Puranas, and all other stories, all said about virtues, the virtues of the women, and also their respect being done given to them by all who are people who have greatness. For no person can become great unless they treat their wives and all the other women properly in the society and respects them. And she became a living presence of the universal mother to him. Even mother, universal mother, Devi, the Kalika Devi, herself is a woman in a way, and then the entire world belongs to the Ma. Similarly, in our Swami's Sai Ma, the lot of bhajans on Sai Ma, describing Swami as the universal mother. And in the puja, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa dedicated his all at the feet of Mother Devi. It marked the highest point in Ramakrishna's sadhanas. High above the body consciousness, he had no trace of the sense of physical joy. He always looked upon his wife Sharda Devi as the blissful mother of the universe, Kali Devi herself. Ramakrishna also had God relation through Christian way of sadhana. This again Swami has proved. See, in the various dharmas, that some people may say, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Jain, and all sorts of, or a Muslim. So Swami also has similarly taught us there is no difference. It's all human beings. And maybe they have been just born in a particular religion and a particular whatever dharma. And all dharmas, all religions, they almost teach the same. And Swami Ramakrishna also wanted to prove that God relation through Christian way of sadhana also. Then he had the vision of the Holy Mother and Child Christ. The Mother and Child Christ appeared to in the visions of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Thus he realized God in all his aspects and began to see him in all. And during that time, when he was imagining that he was the child Christ, and then the Holy Mother was coming and treating him and feeding him, he almost behaved in that way. And Ramakrishna has to suffer a few more bereavements by the time that he was becoming a little older. His elder brother, Sri Rameshwar, because his second elder brother was Rameshwar, and Ramkumar was the eldest brother. Rameshwar died at the age of just 48 in 1873 at Kamarpukur. And then Ramakrishna had already knew about it. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had told some of his disciples that his elder brother Rameshwar will be dying shortly. When Rameshwar set out for Kamarpukur from Dakshineshwar, Ramakrishna had warned him about it that he may not live long. In March 1873, Chandra Devi, Sri Ramakrishna's mother, Chandra Devi, also expired at the age of 94 years. She had lived for full age of 94 years. Sri Chandra Devi, Ramakrishna's holy mother. Ramakrishna foreknew also this well, and he had told his mother that she will be having her moksha shortly. And he had advised his cousin Hridaya, who was then leaving for his native village, to go and assist his mother. Then you had better stay here on the fifth day, hence she breathed her last. And then Hridaya was with mother and also Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. But Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, since being a sannyasi, like again in Shankaracharya's story, also we have read that when Shankaracharya's mother passed away, Aryamba, but already then Shankaracharya rushed, but he wanted to cremate and wanted to get the fire for cremation, and none of the people helped in cremation. But although being a sannyasi, Shankaracharya also created the fire himself and cremated his mother. Similarly here, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa being a sannyasi, he could not perform the last rites of his beloved mother. Unlike Sri Shankaracharya, who cremated his mother, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa did not do it, but he asked Hridaya to do it, but it hurt his feeling that for his mother, he could not do even the last rites. And the great master and the disciples, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's story is full of his disciples. In fact, through his disciples, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is more famous. Like Swami also used to say things. Swami used to say, earlier used to say, my life is my, your way of living your life. And my message is for your life. But later, Swami went on telling, your life is my message. That means the way the devotees of Swami behaves and runs their life, that becomes Swami's kind of message. And of similarly, here also, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa tutored and brought up his disciples in such a way. Each of the disciples' story runs for hundreds of pages. And each of the disciples, in fact, built up the later Ramakrishna mission. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, during his lifetime, he did not create any organization. He did not create anything. He just ended up as a priest in the Kali temple in Dakshineshwar. And except preaching, except giving some upadeshas, he did not do anything further. But later, as we will study later, Sri Vivekananda, followed by many of the other disciples, they formed and they organized the organization Ramakrishna Mission, and later it's going on, and we will study about some of the features of Ramakrishna Mission shortly. Then came the time when Ramachandra Datta and Manmohan Mitra were the first to respond to this call of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. They become one of his first devotees, Ramachandra Datta and Manmohan Mitra. They were cousins. They did not believe in God, but they had read and heard a lot about Ramakrishna's divinity. Out of curiosity, they went to see him on a Sunday. Soon they were attracted by the master's spiritual greatness and became his ardent devotees. Other disciples had also begun to arrive. They were also soon bound by the bonds of spiritual brotherhood. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, like Swami used to say, any god or any god's avatar is like a magnet. A magnet attracts and gets the people to them. Like many a time, without knowing who Baba was or who Baba is, lot of people went to Puttaparthi and other places. And previously, they didn't know anything about it. And therefore, they were attracted. Swami and Shirdi Baba also used to say, and I will pull my devotees like the kind of sparrow is being pulled by a kind of a string by the children while they are playing. Swami used to say, I call and I pull my devotees to me. Similarly, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's disciples also, one by one, they came to Dakshineshwar. One night, Sri Ramachandra Datta stood before Ramakrishna, and Ramachandra Datta felt the presence of a superhuman power in Ramakrishna's body. No sooner did Ramakrishna touch him on the head with the toe of his right foot, then he fell into a deep samadhi, a kind of a high trance. Then Ramachandra realized that his master was an incarnation of God himself. Then Ramakrishna went and told him to come to Dakshineshwar frequently. Since then, Ramachandra Datta never looked back. He became later the Ramachandra Swami Ramakrishna. And Manmohan was again envious by nature. This Manmohan Datta, the master desiring to cure his disciple once, said in his presence, Surendranath has no equal in devotion. Being proud, he thought that the master loved Surendra more than himself, because there were several devotees and disciples to Swami Ramakrishna. Similarly, in our Satyasai also organization, many times it happened. Swami loved every devotee equally, all his students equally. But many a time, a student to whom Swami spoke little more one day felt more proud, and that Swami is more close to him than maybe another student, or other students also thought like that. And Swami had to show the way that he loved everyone equally. But who needed attention are the one to whom Swami used to speak more. Similarly, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also told him. But this Surendra remained very disturbed and could not forget the love of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. The master sent messengers one after the other to return to Dakshineshwar, but he did not do out of false pride. This is the disease for most of us devotees and even others. We always suffer not for real maladies, not for even account of even this COVID, but a more dangerous disease for all of us, our entire lifetime, is our false pride and false ego. One day it so happened that Manmohan was bathing in the Ganges river. Then he remembered Ramakrishna had underlined to him time and again of the sacredness of Ganga and the Ganges water. Then a boat with the master approached him. It was a pleasant surprise for him that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa himself took a boat and traveled to where Surendranath was there hiding, not coming to Dakshineshwar. He saw it in his vision. But less, Swami always to say, if a devotee does not come to God, God goes to his devotees. And we have seen in many of our stories that we have heard about Swami going and searching and going to the houses of devotees who could not come to Puttaparthi or anything sometimes due to some problem. And the Swami used to go in search of them and call them and go to their houses and take one lunch, even although without announcing it previously. And Ramakrishna took him up in his boat and said, I was so concerned about you, Surendra, that I had to come to get you. Manmohan fell at the master's feet and crying said, Sir, it was all because of my vanity. And about this is a false vanity that these things happen. Surendranath was Manmohan's friend. He was kind to the poor but not interested in religion or God. He was also he was of easy morals. One day, Manmohan pressed him to accompany to the master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, but reluctantly Manmohan went with him. But when he heard the master speak for the first time, he was a changed man. Like similarly, when sometimes some devotees reluctantly come along with somebody to see Swami, and after a few minutes at Tekamtapasti, and they have darshan of Swami, face to get changed. Before leaving him, he prostrated before Ramakrishna Paramahansa and became his ardent follower for his entire lifetime. For the master taught his new disciple how to conquer desires. This all Swami sealing on desires and overcome bad habits. It brought a sea change in his life and his spiritual thirst was awakened and sustained. Sri Kedarnath was another young man to seek refuge at the feet of the master in those days. Devotees in a large number had begun to come to Dakshineshwar. It was not possible for the master to talk and instruct everybody. Same thing happened earlier. Swami used to almost talk to every person who used to go to Prashanti Nilayam. Later it became difficult and people had to understand that. And Swami used to say, even if the person reading the last row of the last person and the last row also is noticed by me. Or in fact, Swami used to say, I notice them better and more than the person sitting in the first row and the first in line. They could very well provide the preliminary instruction to the visitors and seekers. Another person called Latu. Latu was such another pious soul. He came to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and his latent spirituality was awakened. Through literature, Latu made rapid spiritual progress under Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, although he was illiterate. Soon he renounced the world. Latu had got relation through his personal service to the master. He was like almost servant or attendant. To serve the teacher, to look after his needs and comforts of the spiritual path, which he trod so willingly like our Sai kind of sadhanas. And as was Latu's nature, he came to be known as Adbhutananda later when he was admitted to the order of Swami Adbhutananda. The Rakal. People came to know of the master through the Brahma Samaj of Keshava Chandra Sen. Brahma Samaj at that time in West Bengal was quite prominent. And Brahma Samaj was not following some of the Hindu kind of followers and Hindu kind of tradition of Keshava Chandra Sen. They began to pour into Dakshineshwar later one by one. Then came Rakal Chandra, who later became the famous man, Swami Brahmananda, next in order to Sri Vivekananda. And Sri Swami Brahmananda was the Rakal Chandra. And by nature, he was as simple as child. Rakal was the son of a rich zamindar, but was full of spiritual fervor and devotion. He did not enjoy the so-called richness that they had. He left all that thing and came to Dakshineshwar. The master loved his simple nature and deep devotion. And Rakal went to Vrindavan and fell ill. The master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa fervently prayed the Mother Kali for his recovery and he was soon well. Because Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was never praying for himself, for his cure, like our Swami. The Swami never wanted to cure for himself, doing all the miracles that he used to do for curing others. Similar Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also. Actually, the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has prayed for the Universal Mother, for a companion who was pure, simple, and full of devotional fervor like himself. And the Divine Mother had sent Rakal, who became Brahmananda later. He was a simple child of Ramakrishna's dreams. When the Master met him for the first time, they talked like very old friends. Rakal was spiritual son, and he is spiritual mother, father, and teacher, all combined. Overcome with a great grief at his wife's death, another person called Gopal Chandra Ghosh met Swami Ramakrishna Paramahansa. He was asked to visit the Master by one of his friends. Gopal was deeply influenced by the master and obtained much solace and comfort by his grace in his hour of crisis. Finally, he renounced the world and became a monk of the Ramakrishna order. And he was the eldest of the group of disciples. Actually, he was 3 years older than the master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa himself, or the oldest devotee. Naren, like our Kasturi, Sri Kasturi was a kind of a devotee, older than Swami, but became a devotee of Swami. Narendranath was foremost of these marked disciples and devotees of the master. Narendranath met the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa for the first time at Surendranath's house. The Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was instantly attracted towards Narendra, who was called Vivekananda later, as soon as he saw him. He invited Narendra to the Kali temple at Dakshineshwar. When he came to Dakshineshwar and entered the master's room, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's room in Dakshineshwar, the master at once recognized his great spiritual powers and the introvert nature of Sri Narendra. Ramakrishna asked him to sing, and he sang sweetly as if in trance, because Narendra, that is, our Vivekananda, was to even sing very well. The master fell in ecstasy when the song was over. The master took him aside. He took the young aspirant's hand in his own and said, weeping, "Ah, you have come so late. I was waiting for you." Sometimes similarly, Swami and Shri Sai Baba also used to say, "I was waiting for you all these years. I know you for 60 years, 600 years, and 60 births." Like that, even Shri Baba used to say, and our Swami also used to say. Similar, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said about Narendra. How unkind of you to keep me waiting so long. Why did you take so much time, Narendra, to come to Dakshineshwar? That's what he told Vivekananda. The master then brought some of his sweets and fed the young disciple with his own hands. Because Swami used to feed his children and feed his students sometimes, similar Ramkrishna Paramahamsa fed Narendra with his own hands. But Narendra dismissed the whole event as an act of madness on the part of the master Ramkrishna Paramahamsa. He almost dismissed it as saying, okay, out of some madness he must have done it. When he visited the place for the second time, Narendra had a wonderful experience. Again, Ramkrishna Paramahamsa placed his right foot on Narendra and felt a great emptiness all around. And being afraid, he cried, what are you doing? You are done to me. Swami, you know I have my parent. I have to go back. Don't make me a monk. The Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa then touched his breast and he returned soon to his normal self. And he third visit, the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa took him for a walk. Along with him, Narendra was taken for a walk. He touched Narendra while he was in a state of samadhi, and Narendra immediately lost consciousness and into deep samadhi state. This direct experience changed Narendra's views of the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who could convert even the iron and the metal into anything soft. He was convinced that the Master was a superhuman soul possessing great spiritual powers and siddhi. Narendra was already in adept in meditation. The Master's close association gave it new heights. But Narendra never accepted anything unless it was proved true, because he went from the scientific temperament to the test of his reason. And many scientists also came to Swami out of faith, and then they were fully convinced later on. The master, being a sannyasi, never touched money, gold, etc. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa kept gold, money, everything out of his reach, and he never touched it even aside, like our Swami. He was a perfect spiritual man and could not bear the touch of money and such other worldly thing. One day, Narendra, while the master was not in the room, slipped a 1 rupee coin under Ramakrishna's bed to test what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa would react and how he will react. When the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa came and sat in the bed, he got up suddenly as if in pain, something like a thorn pricking him. The bed was examined and the coin was found and removed. Then only Ramakrishna Paramahamsa sat on that bed. The Master always taught his people to assess everything before accepting it as true or genuine. Similarly, Swami also used to say, don't believe me just because your friend or relative has brought you here. Just you test in your own way, do whatever test you want. That's a lot of our American and foreign devotees of Swami tested him fully and then became his devotee. You must not believe me without testing thoroughly. The master also put Narendra to several tests before according him or accepting him as a disciple. For a long time, the master completely ignored Narendra's presence. Narendra came again and again to the temple and visited the master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa at Dakshineshwar. But Ramakrishna Paramahamsa deliberately neglected him without even an exchange of greeting for several months. That's what the experience of our Professor Anil Kumar and also Sri Narasimhamurthy, who had been long time devotees of Swami, who used to say, Swami way of ignoring is also very painful. Like sometimes he also gives assurance and he also gives blessing. For blessing and kind of ignoring of God, ignoring by Swami is a very big problem for people to sustain. But this attitude of the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa did not dishearten the pupil like Narendra. Narendra was made of higher metal, and that's what should happen to us devotees. When certain things of what we like does not happen, we pray to Swami and we go and do things, and then those things will not be successful by chance for any reason, because Swami knows it best. And at that time, a lot of people will discontinue worshipping Swami and go to some other guru or something else. Instead of that, we have to hold on. And our Narendra continued to come to the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. At last, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa told Narendra, I have not exchanged a single word with you all this time, but you still are coming? Then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa questioned him. Then Narendra said, I come to Dakshineshwar because I love you and want to see you. And you are the only person on whom I can depend on you. I can depend in the entire world. And if you also throw me, if you also ignore me, what shall I do? Like a child, when cryingly it goes to mother, seeking her help. And mother also does not talk to the child. What will happen to the child? To whom it should go? And that's what the plight. And the master exclaimed with joy, I was only testing you, Narendra. I want to see if you would stay away due to my outward indifferences. And if I had gone away, you would have gone away. I would have been felt bad. But you have come back, you have stayed, and you are there. And then he embraced the young disciple with great affection. Another occasion, the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa wanted to give Narendra many of his spiritual powers by transfer. Like many a time there's Bluetooth. Now we have got Bluetooth can take away or transfer a lot of messages and data from one instrument to another instrument. Similarly, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa transferred a lot of his spiritual powers to Narendra. Narendra asked if they would help him in God realization. Because many a times the siddhis and spiritual powers itself can be detrimental. it can become inimical. Answer being in the negative, he said, let me realize God first, and then I shall perhaps know whether or not I want supernatural power. He refused to even take supernatural powers and siddhi if it is going to affect God realization. That's what our spirit should be. If I accept them now, then I may forget God. Then instead of God, I'll get all the siddhis, I'll become rich, I'll become famed. And that will turn me away from God, which I don't want. It may make me selfish, make selfish use of them, and thus come to agree. Ramkrishna loved so much Narendra's inborn spiritual tendencies, as would become disconsolate if the people did not come for a few days. Then he would pray to Kali Mother to do all the things that what Narendra would be required to do. He requested Mother Kali to bless and grant Narendra all his wishes. And under him, Narendra's divine powers had begun to unfold themselves. Soon they were in full bloom. Narendra never believed anything unless he had direct proof of it. He often raised objections and even challenged Ramkrishna Paramahansa. Again, the worship of an image, like many of the Christian and other devotees, they were against the idolatry or idol worship of the Hindus. Ramakrishna, having failed to convince him on the subject one day, then said, why do you come here, Narendra, if you won't acknowledge my mother? If you don't accept my Kali mother, then you don't have to even come. Because I accept her, she, not as an image of stone, not as an idol of stone. She is a living mother to me. She talks to me. She takes food from me. Narendra replied, must I accept her simply because I am here and you are following her and she is your deity and I will not accept it. Then the master said, all right, you are here long and you shall not only acknowledge my blessed mother, but weep in her name later on and stay some time and go on following her. Soon Narendra's father died and left the family in poverty because Narendra had come from a rich family. He was a barrister, father was a barrister. The creditors began every now and then to knock at his door. Narendra and his family were great financial distress. It was not enough to eat for them in the house. Once they were very rich, he tried his best to gain employment, but without any success because he had no experience. The so-called friends totally failed him, betrayed him. At last, he thought of requesting Ramakrishna Paramahamsa to pray for him to remove his poverty. And whom to pray? Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was praying only for the Holy Mother Kali Devi. And the master said, my boy, I cannot take such demands from you. But why don't you go and ask the mother yourself? Like Swami used to say, I don't need a meditator between me and the devotee. And he said, why don't you go and pray to Mother Kali? At night, about 9 o'clock, the master sent Narendra to the Kali temple and inside the Garbhagudi. Narendra was overwhelmed with divine grace. He felt unsteady and intoxicated. As he looked at the image of Kali, it was transformed into a living presence. And like Ramakrishna used to say, it was not just an idol of stone. It was a kind of a living God, living goddess, Devi coming and talking to him. Full of divine love, ecstasy, and devotion, he prayed, Mother, give me discrimination, give me renunciation, give unto me the knowledge and devotion like even Shankaracharya prayed to Sharda Devi, Saraswati. He forgot to pray for wealth or removal of his poverty, because many times it happens to us also. When Swami gives us an interview, or gives Pad Namaskar, we would have gone with so many problems and sorrows, but we will not be able to open our mouth and tell Swami anything about it. And that's what should happen. Because when he knows, he is God, he knows everything. Why should you tell anything to them? And therefore he forgot to pray for wealth or removal of his poverty, and all his poverty, and none of that he could tell. Like Kuchela did not tell anything to Krishna when he went to him. The master sent him for the second time to the mother to pray, to fulfill his wants, because he had come out without asking Kali Mata anything. Then again Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, to test him, sent him again. But again he forgot his worldly wants and only prayed for devotion and discrimination with God. And he was sent by the third time, but again the same prayer was repeated. He could not pray for himself what he wanted. He was not destined to enjoy things in the world. He was born to lead the world and lead others to the kind of Adhyatmic world which he did later as a spiritual leader. He was to be the world famous Vivekananda in the years to come, and traveling all over the world. He was a conqueror of the globe, and not just a kind of a few pieces of wealth to be given to him for his own kind of worldly things. But then the master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa assured that Narendra's family would never be in want of simple food and clothing. You may not become rich, but what you need for your living will be given by the God. And that's what true for all of us. This incident proved a turning point in Narendra's life. Now, the secret of the relationship with personal God had been revealed to him. His vision was further broadened. and he became an ardent devotee to Mother Kali. And then the other devotees are like Harish, the young son of the rich parents, was the first of the disciples to come and live with the master. He had a wife and child, but the Kali spirit was too strong to neglect. And so he renounced the world at once. Bhavanath was another such soul. One day, in order to test his devotion, the master told Bhavanath, "Why don't you enjoy the world a little and then come here?" Bhavanath replied, "Swami, should we too go and indulge in vulgar pleasures? And then do you think we'll be able to come back? Once we go from Dakshineshwar, we may not be able to come back." And that's why many of the Swami devotees wanted to stay in Prashantinilayam itself, particularly the students. The reply pleased the master beyond measure because of Bhavanath's purity and innocency was very sight roused divine feelings in the master's mind. Similarly, Taraknath was also a member of the Brahmo Samaj of Keshava Chandra Sen. Through the Samaj, Dori Samaj came to know of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. From his early age, he had become a seeker after the truth. And he used to meditate and is deeply interested to attain a state of samadhi by himself. He met the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa first at the time at the residence of Ramachandra's residence when Swami came to Calcutta. And Swami was deeply interested to hear him talk about samadhi. He became a frequent visitor to the Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, Dakshineshwar. One day the master asked Tarak to put out his tongue. He put out the tongue and the master Ramcharan wrote a Bija mantra on his tongue, and the boy Taraka was written submerged in the deep meditation. You could recite any of the Bhagavata and the Bhagavad Gita shlokas. And he had many such other experiences as the master's mere glance, not only writing on the tongue, but mere glance. And so that's what happens to us by Swami's devotees, by Swami's mere darshan. And Ramakrishna and many more market disciples and followers, they all become famous monks and preachers under the Ramakrishna order. Babu Ram went to meet the master in the company of Rakal. He was 20 years of age, was greatly delighted and no less surprised to see the beautiful temple surroundings in Dakshineshwar. Then he became a frequent visitor and soon surrendered himself to the feet of the master. In turn, the master loved him so much for the purity of his heart and devotion to God. Babu Ram would often enter into samadhi when Ramakrishna just touched his body. And that's why Swami also Pada Namaskar is not available to everyone. The moment you touch Swami's Pada, that itself transforms you a kind of a big shock, a big kind of transformation. Until you deserve that transformation, Swami never gives his touch of his body at Pada Namaskar. And that is his person. Nitya Niranjan Ghosh was 18 when he had the privilege to see the master from his very boyhood. A great interest in things of spiritual and supernatural. The master prized a simple and straightforward nature, saying, Niranjan has no spot of guilt on him. But on occasions, even this Niranjan, as subject to violent temper, sometimes used to become very angry. On what such occasion, he burst out in great anger when some of the other passengers in a boat spoke ill of the master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Then, like our Swami used to say, if somebody comments on Swami, some of us devotees, we get little angry and we may shout back. But Swami also told, why are you my kind of attorney? I don't need an attorney to defend me. And just walk away from that place. Similarly, here also, when he tried to defend, Niranjan tried to defend the other people in the passengers in the boat for talking ill of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He said, no, don't worry about it. And then he threatened to even capsize the boat midstream. Then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, when he reached Dakshineshwar, called him and said, you should not become angry like this. Let the people talk whatever they like. And only such people who can know the value will come. People who do not know value of even our Swami will not go there. It doesn't matter. There are already crores and crores of people who are devoted, and that is enough. And Yogindranath was another such person to seek refuge at Master's feet. From very childhood, he was an introvert and religious person, and this marked a turning point on this Yogin. And he was called Yogin, and he also was Yogindra. And then became a daily visitor. But then Master made visit Dakshineshwar on the pretext of giving account for a negligible sum. Another about 5-6 minutes, we are likely to complete. When he reached the place, the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa rushed him with bubbling with great joy, divine splendor. He welcomed Yogindra. He did not utter even a word about the money, but held Yogin's one hand and on his own and spoke words are full of deep love and compassion. He said, what if you are married? Have I too been married? Haven't I been married? No, marriage does not affect you. This is all applicable to most of us. Marriage does not take away your spiritual power. If marriage is had with the proper person and your wife or your spouse also become equally kind of spiritual, then marriage is not a barrier. Marriage is a kind of a helping stone for all of us to become better devotees. It removed all the burden from Yogin's heart. Once again, he found a new meaning in his life. Yogindra was too kind-hearted and gentle. The master knew it. He wanted to purge him to the excess of gentleness. And then the God chosen ones were also disciples the master thought under this category were Narendra, Rakal, Baburam, Niranjan, and Puran Chandra. And Shashi and Sharat. Shashi and Sharat are also our cousins. They are also great devotees of Master. They both are fascinated by the magnetic personality of Ramkrishna Paramahamsa. Later, Sharat came to be known as Swami Shardananda. And Sharat was full of piety, calmness, endurance, compassion, and fortitude from his very boyhood, which grew more and more under the Master's careful guidance. Harinath was the first met the Master at the house of a friend in Calcutta. Then he was a just ordinary boy, young boy of 14 years. 2 years later, when he had the honor to see the Master again, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa at Dakshineshwar, then Ramakrishna Paramahamsa recognized him as a future disciple of great Swami, later became the famous Turiyananda, Swami Turiyananda. Then he wandered from place to place, meditating on God and preaching the people. He accompanied Sri Vivekananda to America. Also, when Vivekananda went to visit that country the second time, after the first global kind of historic Vivekananda speech at Chicago, at the global spiritual meet. Sharda Prasanna. Sharda Prasanna belonged to a rich family of landowner. When he was a boy, he lost a gold watch. It was his most precious possession. He was badly upset. Then one of his friends took him to the Master Ramkrishna Paramahamsa. One day, the Master Ramkrishna Paramahamsa asked him to fetch some water and to wash his feet. Sharda felt ashamed, particularly in the presence of several others, that he should go and touch the feet of Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa or wash his feet. He thought the work was menial, but the Master insisted and he had to obey. This provided for great beginning of the long path of service, surrender, devotion, and God relation. Later he became a monk, Trigunatitananda, who later said, I lost only a golden watch, but I got the golden personality of the Guru, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Tulsi Charan also had a glimpse of Master at the house of Balram Babu, and he was a boy of 18. And one day his friend Harinath took him to Dakshineshwar, and then he had also got a lot of latent spiritual powers. Kali Prasad, Arjuna, inspired by the universal method, the young sadhakas are replacing for reaching the master in 1 and 2. They are destined to ascend to great spiritual height. A book containing the master's sayings was presented to Kali Prasad. Then he was just 18 years of age. He also at the young age itself became highly spiritual, as such was one of the most beloved peoples of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Kali was an expert fish catcher. One day he caught 3-4 fishes from the temple garden pond. Ramakrishna asked why he was cruel to the fish. He replied, what is wrong in it, sir? We are all Atman, even immortal. Therefore, I have not killed any fish. I have only caught him. The Master Ramakrishna said, you are in the wrong. The man of relation can never be cruel to others. Even catching them is wrong. It is against his very nature. Kali pondered over what Swami Ramakrishna said and gave up angling and fishing from that day. And Subodh Chandra was the son of devout parent. On seeing the boy Subodh, Master had realized that he would attain great heights. One day, the Master wrote some mantra on Subodh's tongue, and he became Swami Subodhananda. Hari Prasanna Chatterjee was another again great disciple of Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, and on his various visits to Dakshineshwar, and along with Vivekananda, and he also was later made a guru called Swami Vipanananda, and everybody's name became NCT Ananda. Swami used to say Ananda is just not happiness, it's a spiritual bliss. And Gangadhar Ghatak, and the Gangadhar was also called as Gangadhar earlier, he became Gangadhar Ghatak. His friend Harinath took him to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa one day to Dakshineshwar. Later he became Akhandananda and spread the message of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And Mahendranath Gupta was again another disciple of Swami, and he found lot of good movement and good progress, spiritual progress, when he went to Dakshineshwar. Mahendra felt as if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was the devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or even Rishi Sukadeva was himself there in that forum, and he was impressed. And Mahendranath took notes of Master discourses and conversation. And later, when the publications are done, all these notes that were taken, because Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, when he was talking, no recording was there. And all his conversations with some of the devotees were recorded. That only came as a book. And elderly devotees, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, a lot of elderly devotees are called Balram Bose, one of those followers. He owned large agricultural land, only the richest person, and Balram Bose became Swami's again very good disciple. And when he was asking, sir, does God really exist? Swami Ramakrishna said, certainly he reveals himself to the devotee who thinks of him as his nearest and dearest. And Balram Bose was also impressed by these words. And then he was also a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he became a devotee of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Another person called Nagamahashaya, he was a physician, a doctor by profession, was another devotee drawn to Swami. Then Girish Chandra Ghosh, Girish Chandra Ghosh was a man from the theatre world. He was a dramatist artist. Like we have seen now, but a lot of cinema artists used to come to Puttaparthi, and a lot of even the musicians. Therefore, actually, nobody is left out. Nobody is an exception. Whoever is a human being has got to be impressed by Swami and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also. Similarly, the master often went to see his religious, to see even religious theatrical performances with Girish Chandra Ghosh. The master encouraged Girish to continue his theatre. He died in 1912. Till the last day, he remained steadfast in his devotion to the master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Ramakrishna used to even speak highly of him, although his temperament and even character was slightly low in the beginning. But after he became devotee of Swami, Girish Chandra also became a great devotee and a good spiritual person. Srimad Devendranath Mazumdar and Kalipat Ghosh and Brahmani, Agormani, and similarly Rani Rasamani was a person who was responsible for Ramakrishna Paramahamsa to become a priest in Dakshineshwar temple. And we are taking just the last phase, about 2-3 minutes. And it was in 1885, the weather was very hot and sultry. The master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa felt uncomfortable. He was given lumps of ice to suck by the devotee. And then his frequent samadhis he used to go, that is to make him more and more weak, like our Swamis last about 20-25 days in 2011 during the April and say March and April. That's what we can all go back and remember. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa suffered the various illnesses of his various other devotees and also his body kind of suffering. He said he has to suffer. He did not want to pray to Mother Kali for his kind of immediate kind of curing. Ramakrishna led the Kirtan singers. He danced and sang devotional songs to the accompaniment of music in semi-conscious state. Although he was not conscious, body was very weak, he did not stop singing about Kali and also did not stop the puja of Kali Mata. And the beginning of an disciples and devotees got alarmed, and because he went to go to frequent samadhis, even every day and for a long time. And he spent sleepless nights in trance. His body grew thin and exhausted. Enthusiasm towards the devotees never lessened. He helped them in every possible way to ascend to higher and higher steps of consciousness and spirituality. His physical weakness and suffering never affected his mental state. And later, the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, like our Swami, also had some kind of a disease which nobody could detect properly. The pain in the throat gradually increased. The disciples were greatly worried, but did not know what to do. The master's throat began to bleed. Obviously, that turned into cancer. The anxious disciples immediately decided to take him to Calcutta for treatment. A small house in Bagh Bazaar was taken on rent. From the roof of his house, Ganga was visible, and they knew that the master's love for Ganga was so deep and abiding. He wanted to have an end in the on the banks of the Ganga river. But the master felt too cramped to live there in a small house. He moved to Balram Babu's house. Balram was like to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He requested the master to stay there until a suitable house was found. By that time, the disciples had come to know master disease was incurable. It was a deep cancer. They continued the best treatment available. All the best doctors of Calcutta came and treated him, and he knew that was no avail. And Swami Ramakrishna said, "My Rama and Krishna, who has sent me here, are calling me back." And people began to pour in groups to seek his blessing. House of Balram was full of hustle and bustle. Stream of people continued unabated. The master talked and preached with great zeal. It seemed that Rajah had come to there only for the purpose and not for treatment. He did not want to treat himself, he wanted to treat the others of their spiritual and other problem. And at Shampaka finally left, and then there was only one common bathroom. Therefore, Shardama used to get up very early in the morning at about 3 o'clock to finish her ablution. And Narendra took the charge of personal service to the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Encouraged by his example, other disciples also rendered dedicated service. Then none of these people bothered about their own personal inconvenience. They went on treating Swami. Dr. Mahendralal Sarkar, the famous doctor in Calcutta, treated him, and an actress devotee. And once the even actress devotee of Girish Chandra Ghosh place, and she was the young Chaitanya. She was playing that role, and she also became Swami's this thing. She even told, "I will bear all the expenses of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa treatment," but Swami Ramakrishna refused all treatment and anybody giving or making the expenses. European gentlemen also tried to come and help Swami. Swami refused it, and disease had taken a turn for the worse. Dr. Sarkar felt that the polluted atmosphere of Calcutta was the real cause of the master's rapidly deteriorating condition. It was advised that the master might be taken to place outside Calcutta. After the must search, a garden out at Kashipur was found. It belonged to Gopal Chandra Ghosh. On 11th December 1885, the Master Ramakrishna Paramahamsa with his band of dedicated followers entered this new garden house, And then Narendra took the lead and all decided that Vivekananda to stay at Kashipur day and night to serve Swami. In spare time, Narendra collects all the fellow devotees and engages in meditation, bhajans, discussions, and such as development. And on things going on like this, and the master was becoming little bit conscious in between, and the Duni, like Shigri Baba used to light, the Duni fire was lit up, and night Narendra had no sleep, others are also wide awake. Narendra led them to the garden. They are exhorting them, master's disease is serious. Who knows, the master might have made up his mind to abandon the body, like our Swami did on 24th April 2011. So let us now make up as much progress as possible. Sat down under a tree, and others also let us now set fire to all our desires. That is what the Duni means. Holy men light up, like Duni fights at the hour of the night to burn up their desire. Let us all do that. And that is the homage that we can give to Sri Ramkrishna Paramahamsa. Ramkrishna Paramahamsa showed no improvement in anything. And then one day, he ever remained calm, cheerful, alert. One day, he called Narendra and told Narendra, don't let them go back home. I am now leaving the boys in your care. I am leaving this body. I am going back to where I had come from, and my avatar is over. See that they practiced their meditation worship, and the master's condition worsened as he could not speak, and only in whispers they could speak. One evening, Narendra was meditating, and then was asking, Ramkrishna Paramahamsa asked, where is my body? Where is it? I am not seeing my body. And transmission of spiritual powers. One day, the master called Narendra near him, with his gaze immediately transferred Narendra to transferred all his powers to Narendra. That's how Vivekananda became such a great kind of spiritual person in the entire world. And therefore, Narendra got all the transferred to him in just a second. And when he regained conscience, the master weeping said, oh Naren, I have just given everything I possess. I had nothing now with me. Now I'm as poor as a beggar. But these powers will help you to do great things in this world. You will become a great leader. That's what Vivekananda did. And he started the Ramakrishna Mission later. And the pilgrimage of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa ended soon. And the last fateful day of 15th August 1886 came. That is tomorrow, 15th August. And we are coming in 2021. And then the master was very critically ill. The pulse beat irregularly and he felt quite restless. He had difficulty in breathing. And somehow that particular day passed. And then he entered into Mahasamadhi on the next day, early morning. That is 16th August. And that 16th August, never he could return to the plane of the martyr. Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa reached moksha. It all happened on 16th August in the early morning at 1 o'clock in the Brahmi Muhurt. And the tragic news spread like wildfire, like Swami's, again, the Samadhi thing, which we all know, people thronged the place, weeping and wailing inconsolably. Dead body was taken to the cremation ground amidst chanting hymns and playing the devotional music, was laid down for the final rest of the fire. And in no time, all was over with this, and the epoch has ended, a grand pilgrimage terminated. With this, we are closing the satsang today, the talk of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. And as all we know, whatever Ramakrishna Paramahamsa preached, Swami used to quote in many of his discourses Ramakrishna Paramahamsa teachings and also about Narendra Vivekananda's lot of teachings and all that. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Satya Sai Baba, and all the Paramagurus are all same. They teach the same, and even our Satya Sai organization, which is unique by itself, is also founded on the same principle. Let us all deserve to become worthy devotees of this great organization. Sai Ram, we seek the blessings of Swami. Sai Ram, thank you. One bhajan and we are closing.
Sai Ram. Janani Sai Devi Dayamai Janani Ma Krupalini Ma Tum ho Prema Swarupini Ma Tum ho Prema Swarupini Ma Daya Karo Satya Sai Ma Daya Karo Satya Sai Ma Janani Premadayini Ma Janani Premadayini Ma Janani Sai Devi Dayamai Janani Ma Krupalini Ma Tum ho Prema Swarupini Ma दया करो सत्य साई माँ, जननी प्रेमदायिनी माँ, जननी प्रेमदायिनी माँ, जननी साई देवी दयामयी. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, thanks to all of you. And Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa lived for 50 years and then called off his life. Similarly, Vivekananda Swami lived for 40 years, called off his life. And during their Avtaric period, they served the mankind with the greatest Upanishads and Upanishas. Sai Ram, thanks every one of you.
Sai Ram, uncle. Sai Ram.
Thank you, Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.